All right. Well, I wanted to talk about this a few days ago. I just haven't had the time. These blog posts actually take a while sometimes when I got to go and open up all these pages again and take screenshots and whatnot. Otherwise, it doesn't make as much sense. But anyway, I get on the internet today, and this story about Bryce Dejean-Jones dying is still a headline article on CNN. It's been 2 days. I can't believe that this story is that important that it's still on the top stories of CNN, you know? And that's how you know that it's a super important story. They want you to look at it. There's a lot of coding involved in it. So anyway, the first thing I notice about this guy is, his death is totally connected to these Prince, the royalty, the Amtraks, all kinds of stuff. But the first thing that I notice about him is he was born on August 21st. August 21st in 1992 just so happened to be a leap year, so it was the 234th day of the year. But the reason it's so interesting is because I just mentioned how I started seeing the number 234, and it's connected to a whole bunch of stuff I just posted about it. Even the English Civil War began on August 22nd, which is the 234th day in a regular year. So just interesting with the 234. Russell Westbrook equals 234. Drake equals 234. You know, he has the song Back to Back. The Raptors were the ones who hosted the All-Star Week this year and whatnot. Talked about Westbrook winning back-to-back All-Star Game MVPs and Zach LaVine winning back-to-back slam dunk contests. All kinds of other stuff with it. So, you can just pause and read some of this if you want on the screen. But I did mention 234 a whole lot just the other day. Also, this guy played college at Iowa State. He played college at 3 different places, but Iowa State was the last one and the one that they mentioned in all of the mainstream articles. Interesting, Iowa State Cyclones equals 65 in Gematria, just like his name, just like Prince. The CNN video even starts at 607, a lot like 67. Prince died or was born on June 7th, 67. He died 67 days after Vanity. Blood sacrifice equals 67. Prince Charles is 67 years old this year. 607 is also the 111th prime. Prince died on the 112th day of the year this year, but it's normally the 111th day of the year. Also in Gematria, the NBA Finals equals 111. And since this Bryce guy was a Pelican, I remembered that the Warriors won their first game of the season this year against the Pelicans, and they scored 111 points. It was on October 27th, the first day of the NBA season. Interesting, too, they played again 2 games later, or the third game of the season, on Halloween, and the Warriors won 134 to 120. If you write out King Charles III, it equals 134. If Queen Elizabeth dies, then Prince Charles will become King Charles III. If Prince Charles dies, then his son King William will become the king. King William equals 120. So interesting, 134 to 120. It also just so happened to be on Halloween. Halloween was the day that LeBron James dressed up as Prince for Halloween, and Kevin Love was Jackie Moon from the movie Semi-Pro, and he's Jackie Moon or whatever, and Prince's death was all about the moon stuff I talked about, especially in regards to the number 134. Prince even died on the night of a full moon. So just kind of interesting. CNN also makes sure to show us this guy played for Iowa State, and they show he was playing Kansas on their little picture that they had. Kansas equals 65, just like this guy's name, just like Iowa State Cyclones. And remember, this year, Iowa State was the last team to beat Kansas before Kansas lost to the champions from Philadelphia, Villanova. Philadelphia equals 65 in Gematria. Just interesting, Iowa State also won by 13. This guy wore number 13. For the Pelicans, he wore number 31, the mirror or the reflection of 13. 31, if you write it out in gematria, it also just so happens to equal 134, just like King Charles III. So pretty interesting. Interesting, 31 also has Jewish gematria of 792, just like King James. LeBron James is King James. He turned 31 years old this season. Also in gematria, Curry equals 31. The word basketball in gematria, with the S exception, even equals 31. Villanova's win was also connected to the Chester, Pennsylvania Amtrak derailment, but we also got the Amtrak derailment in Kansas on Pi Day, or 3/14, Steph Curry's birthday. Even look when the Pelicans tweeted it at 3/14. The Warriors versus the Oklahoma City Thunder games have been super connected to Prince and Pi, which I'll talk about here in a second. Iowa State, though, when they beat Kansas this year, they beat Kansas 2 months, 27 days before Prince died, or also Queen Elizabeth's birthday. If you take 22 and divide it by 7, you get pi, 3.14. The Warriors played the Thunder on 2/27, and the score totaled 239 points. The reason that's so interesting is because if you write out Bryce Alexander Dejean-Jones, his full name equals 239. We're in the 239th year of the United States, and a whole lot more with 239, but if you go from 2/27 to the day that he died, it's a span of 3 months, 1 day, a lot like 31, his number, also 13 weeks, a lot like his number at Iowa State. 2/27 is the 49th prime, Warriors equals 49. Prince, the singer, died 49 days after attending the Warriors vs. Thunder game on 3/3, where Curry had 33 points, and the score of that game totaled 227. So this guy, Bryce Jones or whatever, he dies the same day as Game 6. Since the Warriors won, the series is tied 3-3 even. Prince was at the 3-3 game. His first ever NBA game was on 1/21 of this year. His last ever NBA game was on 2/23 this year. Warriors in gematria equals 121. Oklahoma City Thunder equal 223. And he went right out. Look, the last game he played was against Washington, who equals 49. The next game, he would have played the Oklahoma City Thunder. Revelation also equals 49 and 121. Dallas, where he got shot, equals 49. Talked about how this whole season is coded to the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls equals 49 in gematria. Even the hospital that they showed him at, or they showed on CNN, Camden Belmont, equals 49 and 121. If you go from his first game ever to his last game ever in the NBA, a span of 33 days. He also played at Iowa State for 33 games. When he played at Iowa State, they played Kansas 3 times, and they beat them every time. But notice the very last one just so happened to be on Pi Day, 3/14. So exactly 1 year before the Kansas Amtrak derailment. Also, NBA Finals in gematria equals 33. Iowa State is the Cyclones. Cyclones equals 33. If you go from Pi Day of this year and you go to the beginning of the NBA Finals, it's a span of 2 months, 19 days, also 80 days. King Charles III, the small weight, equals 80. Back-to-back championships equals 219. I've talked about this number a whole lot with the Warriors. I just made a video about how it could also be connected to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant last year, his last game was on 219. And like pretty much maybe a sacrifice for this year. The beginning of the NBA season to the beginning of the NBA Finals is also a span of 219 days. And like I said, on Pi Day, Steph Curry also turned 28 years old this year. If you go from Pi Day, or Pi Day is also the 74th day this year. If you go from Pi Day to 7-4, a span of 112 days. Remember, Prince died on the 112th day on 4/21, Queen Elizabeth's birthday. If you go from 4/21 to 7/4, a span of 74 days. The word Masonic equals 74. Jesus, Cross, Joshua, Muhammad, Gospel, Messiah. Tons of super significant 74s. Also, if you go from Pi Day to the day that this guy died, a span of 75 days. The Warriors played Oklahoma City for the first time this season on Queen Elizabeth's 64th anniversary of being queen. It was 75 days before her birthday, or 75 days before Prince died. So interesting, this guy dies 75 days after Pi Day. If you go from 2/6 to the day he died, it's also a span of 3 months, 22 days, also 112 days. Skull and Bones number 322, Oklahoma City Thunder, equals 223, the mirror of it. The word Masonic in Jewish gematria equals 223. Also interesting that he died in Texas. I just talked about this with Kevin Durant as well. He played at Texas. Texas equals 69 in gematria, just like Cleveland Cavaliers, just like back-to-back. So just interesting that guy dies in Texas. It also showed that he went to Taft High School, named after the 27th president, Taft. His father was Alphonso Taft, the co-founder of the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones equals 149. This Dejean-Jones, he dies on the 149th day of the year. It's also interesting that Taft was the president before Woodrow Wilson, the guy where the World War I began. So just kind of interesting, he was the president before World War I. I've just seen a lot of foreshadowing to some type of big event, whether it's World War or not. Just seems like they're foreshadowing a lot of war. Obama going to all the communist countries and whatnot. He's in Japan right now or whatever. Also, Taft in Jewish gematria equals 207, just like Charles. If you write out 207, it equals 197, just like Prince in Jewish gematria, just like LeBron in Jewish gematria. I also just find it weird. There's got to be something that I'm not seeing with it, but just days before Jones died, you had the Pelican star Anthony Davis, who said that he lost $24 million because he wasn't named All-NBA. These guys are both 23 years old, which just reminds you of LeBron James being number 23. But also his contract, it says, went from 145 to 121. Remember, Revelation equals 121, Warriors equals 121. Chicago, Illinois equals 145, though. I mean, Obama, Chicago, Illinois, him and Abraham Lincoln, the only presidents politically out of Illinois. Anthony Davis, though, was also on the Kentucky Wildcats, who won the championship in 2012. Just sticks out to me because the Wildcats of Villanova also won this year. There's been lots of Black Panther coding as well. And I don't know if a Black Panther is considered a Wildcat. It just makes me think of a Wildcat. Kentucky, though, also connected for the fact that John Calipari is their coach. On the first day of Lupercalia, the day that Antonin Scalia died, there was also the 5.1 earthquake in Oklahoma. There was also a pileup on I-78 in Philadelphia. I talked about a whole bunch of these stories on that day, but John Calipari got thrown out of the game after 146 seconds. That's how they reported it, 146 seconds. Which also connects to Philadelphia. Larry Brown equals 56, 146. Allen Iverson, 56, 146. Lots of other 146s around Philadelphia. Interesting, he got thrown out after 146 seconds. He was even the assistant coach under Brown the year before Allen Iverson won the All-Star Game MVP. Interesting, too, when I looked back at it, I-78 in gematria, if you write it out, I-78, it has identical gematria to Cleveland Cavaliers. Even with the S exception, Cleveland Cavaliers would even equal 78. So, Just found that kind of interesting. Pelicans in Gematria also just so happens to be 79 and also 228 in Jewish Gematria. Just interesting, murder equals 79. Death in Jewish Gematria also equals 228. Actually, that's English Gematria. I don't know why I wrote Jewish in there, but death equals 228. Murder equals 79. So interesting Gematria of Pelicans. Also, in regards to the finals and whatnot, champion also does equal 79. But I've seen this number all over the place, and I'm not exactly sure how they use it when they use it with champion, because there's lots of things that contradict when I see this number. But Pope Francis also turned 79 years old this year. LeBron James's full name in Gematria equals 79 as well. A number that was super connected to the Amtrak derailments, also in regards to Merle Haggard and Philadelphia once again. Also, the Warriors and the Thunder/Sonics, they've played 239 regular season games all time. How interesting. We're in the 239th year of the United States. But as far as playoffs, they've played 16 times. They're 8-8. How interesting. You know, it's all about Prince. Prince has attended the game on 3/3, 88 days before today. Also, you know, it's all about purple. Purple equals 88 in Gematria. And then now these two teams are 8-8 going into a Game 7. The last time that these two played each other in the playoffs was in 1992, which, interesting, the Seattle Supersonics won that series, but that was also the same year that the Chicago Bulls won their first back-to-back championship. So, just makes me wonder. Interesting that it's even connected that way. Also, if you just look at the wins here from every time they played, Golden State won 4, then 1, then 3. A lot like Pi, 3-1-4 or 4-1-3. And Oklahoma City Thunder were 3-3-2 right now, or also 2-3-3. Remember, 233 is the 51st prime. The Cavaliers are all about the 51. Even the death of Antonin Scalia that happened on the date numerology of 51 on the 44th day of the year when we got the Oklahoma earthquake, the 5.1. So interesting. If they win, it would be 4-3-2 or 2-3-4, the number I talked about in the very beginning. And if they lose, they'd stay on the 2-3-3. If the Warriors won, it would be 4-1-4, which is interesting because back-to-back in English Gematria equals 4-1-4. But they could also lose and stay on Pi, you know, so who knows. Also then, overall, since they played 239 regular season and 16 playoffs, tonight will be the 17th. So it will be the 256th game all-time that these teams have played each other. And that just sticks out because of the Iowa State connection, and you had Fred Hoiberg, who last year when Bryce Dejean-Jones played for Iowa State, he was the coach, but he left to go coach the Chicago Bulls this year. But his name in Jewish Gematria is 256. It's the 256th game. Maybe nothing, but found it interesting that his name would add up to that. He also adds up to 97 the big way. If you write out 256, it even equals 97. Hoiberg also was number 32. His jersey even retired at Iowa State, number 32. Iowa State equals 32. They play in Ames, Iowa. Ames, Iowa equals 32. The 32nd prime is 131. Just like championship, just like Prince Charles. Also, Iowa State lost in the basketball tournament this year, and the Sweet 16, they lost to the Virginia Cavaliers. I made a whole video on that a long time ago as well, about how their coach, the Virginia Cavaliers coach, Tony Bennett, collapsed with 34.1 seconds left in the first half. And I talked about how I started seeing all over the place there was 431, 314, 134, 143. There was all types of coding that came back to numbers you could rearrange to make pi. The Cavaliers won by 13 points even, right? So Bryce Dejean-Jones wears number 13 for Iowa State. This year, Iowa State loses, gets knocked out of the tournament, losing by 13 points. It also just so happened to be 69 days before the NBA Finals. Cleveland Cavaliers equals 69, back-to-back equals 69. Virginia equals 89 in gematria, just like religion, just like King James. Tony Bennett, the actor or the singer, he was 89 years old. I mean, there's lots of other stuff to it. Also, too, the Thunder and the Warriors have both played a total of 107 regular season games against the Cavs all time. King Charles equals 107. The Cavalier is a follower of King Charles in the English Civil War. The only thing that I noticed different, they both were 107, which is interesting, but the Warriors played their 6 playoff games against the Cavs last year, so that's a total of 113. Iowa State equals 113. Curry wears number 30. The 30th prime is 113. Michael Jordan 113. Kobe Bryant 113. It's also a number I talked about that was connected to Anderson Varejao when he signed with the Warriors and whatnot, connected to the game where Portland beat them by 33 points on 2/19. The next time that they played the Blazers, who was Anderson Varejao's former team, I guess. The Cavs traded him or whatever, then the Portland dropped him or whatever. But they played on 3/11, which just so happens to be 2 months, 22 days before the finals. Amtrak equals 2/22. So I've been wondering all year, he hasn't really played a whole lot lately. I just wonder if tonight, whether it's good or bad for the Warriors, if he's going to have some type of significant role in the game. He did also come back. Maybe it's something to do with Ezeli because he's number 31. Anderson Varejao came 31 days after Steve Kerr came back. They picked him up on 2/22 even. Ezeli missed 31 games or whatever. I believe he came back on the same day as the Chester, Pennsylvania Amtrak derailment. So maybe the whole point was just for Ezeli to have some type of significant role, and Varejao is just kind of the guy in the shadow providing us with the information. I don't know, but we'll see what happens, Regardless, this death of Bryce Dejean-Jones, totally connected to the NBA Finals. Also, this Warriors versus Oklahoma City Thunder playoff series. And, of course, the Prince theme and the Royal theme and what else, So we'll see who wins. We'll see how the game goes tonight. I don't know. I don't know what to think. The last 2 wins that the Warriors had were the complete opposite, even though the things that I found were connected to the Thunder to win, the Warriors won. I guess, that's just the type of stuff I'm talking about. The code is there. But actually being able to pick the winner, I've been trying to break it down and figure it all out. And figure out what happens and when and why, I can't say it enough. It's not about who wins right now. I'm trying to figure out the exact point of why they are winning. But anyway, have a great one.